Last but not least, two policies that I think are very important and greatly overlooked: cancer, critical illness policies, and long-term care policies. Why would you want a cancer policy if you have health insurance? Let me give you an example. I had a gentleman who passed away about a month ago, was on one of our plans. He was on an Aetna plan. He was at MD Anderson. He had terminal kidney cancer. Now, MD Anderson's in network with Aetna. They have a great health insurance plan. We have that plan in our company. It's a great plan. But he had cancer, and he was down there getting treatment. He wanted to try an experimental drug. Had not been through phase 3 and phase 4 trials, therefore it was not approved by the FDA, but they were running the trial at MD Anderson so he could get on the trial. He needed $50,000 to do that. He didn't have $50,000. So we submitted a petition to Aetna, and unfortunately, he passed away from a heart attack before that ever happened. But here's my point. If he had had a cancer policy like the one I have and Lauren has, 2 days if I'm diagnosed with cancer, after that pathology report's in, I have a check for 50 grand. Now, if I want to go lay on the beach in the Bahamas and drink margaritas until my demise, that's my choice. But if I want to go to MD Anderson and have an experimental drug treatment, I got $50,000, I can go do that. What is a cancer policy? It's the opportunity to make a decision. That's all it is. A decision you get to make. So a cancer policy with a lump sum benefit, and I'm not talking about an Aflac policy. I typically say if I'm going to have duck, I'd like it with orange sauce, not as a health insurance policy. The Aflac policies are what I call drip policies. You get $200 for this, $50 for that, $100 for this. That's nonsense. A lump sum policy gives you the power of decisions. If you've got to fly down to MD Anderson, I had a friend recently whose daughter passed away from cancer, brain cancer, MD Anderson, 17 visits to MD Anderson. Flew back and forth with his daughter. The cost of those airline flights, we had a fundraiser to help pay for the cost, his out-of-pocket cost. His health insurance paid for all the stuff that was going on at the hospital, but he still had deductibles, he still had airfare, he still had hotel bills, meals, all the rest of it. So if he had the cancer policy, he would have had cash to pay for that. So all that is your opportunity to make a decision. That's all that is. A cancer policy gives you the opportunity to make a decision. I pay about $46 a month for mine and $46 a month for Lauren's. It's $50,000. Critical illness, if I have a heart attack or stroke, $18,000 cash. So if I'm out of work, if there's extra deductibles, if there's whatever the case may be, rehab, it's not covered, I've got $18,000 in cash to work with. 1 out of 2 men in this country are going to get cancer. 1 out of 2. Look around. 1 out of 3 women are going to get cancer. So think about that. A cancer policy, lump sum benefit can make a big difference to you. Cancer is non-discriminatory, whether it's I just had, as I said, a friend of mine, 26-year-old girl, passed away. Okay? It's non-discriminatory. And it's very ugly when it happens. So if you can afford to do this, I strongly suggest you do it and have something that's in your pocket if you need it. Last but not least, long-term care. Less than 10% of the people in the country have it. Those of us that are chronologically challenged, I strongly suggest you get one unless you want to live in your children's garage. It probably makes a lot of sense. 1 out of 3 adults will wind up in a nursing home. 1 out of 3 adults will wind up needing some type of assisted living care or someone coming in their home. A long-term care policy that's like a 5-year term life insurance policy can offer you X number of dollars of coverage per month, per day, so that you have coverage in place should you need it. So that if you want to stay in your home, you can have somebody come in your home and help you. If I had a stroke or I have Alzheimer's or had problems, my wife is not going to drag me up and down 3 flights of stairs. I weigh 250 pounds. That's not going to happen. Okay? But somebody coming in the house to get me to my daily needs for a shower, a bath, whatever I have to have, number one, you're going to be able to keep your dignity, and number two, it's something that they can help you do. So a long-term care policy can provide you with that benefit, and they're not that expensive if you buy a term policy. You buy a term policy, you buy it with a spousal rider that allows you, let's say I need it for 6 years, but we only bought a 5-year policy. Lauren can give me a year off of her policy and continue on. It's rare that the 2 people ever max out one of those policies if you buy them as husband and wife. So that is a policy that I strongly suggest people take a look at because it can make a huge difference, and you never know. You know, I have a client that's 50 years old and her husband has Alzheimer's. And she's tied to him as the caregiver. And that's the other problem with people that wind up with these problems. Typically, it's the woman who winds up as the caregiver, and they wind up with a 30, 40, 50% chance of all kinds of other illnesses as a result of the fact that they're tied to the hip with this guy that's got all the problems. They can't get out of the house. They can't do anything because they're responsible for taking care of them. Long-term care policy solves that problem. Caregiver comes in, maybe you have to go to an assisted living facility, whatever the case may be. Again, you have choices, you have options. That's what they do. Again, folks that are chronologically challenged, better buy one while you can, because once you hit a certain age bracket, they become very, very expensive. 50 up to 60, 65, they're pretty reasonable. After that, they get pretty expensive. And they are medically underwritten. So your health is an asset when you go to buy one of these things. You don't wait till you have a problem, because then you're not going to be able to buy it. You have the stroke, you have cancer, you won't get the policy. Buy it ahead of time. Well, I hope that helps today. I hope that enlightens you a little bit about health insurance. I'll take any questions you may have. I'll leave you with this thought, though, from Thoreau. It's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the very best, you most often get it. Thank you.